Oh, I started recording and welcome to today's webinar. Um, Today's webinar is about achieving more with automation, and I'm Oscar ONeill from DigitalStaff. And yeah, today we're just going to talk a bit about, automation, about our company, how we got here. We're going to talk about some processes that you can automate, how to get started on your automation journey, the short-term benefits, the long-term benefits, as well as a couple cool examples of automation and things like that we built for clients. So let's get started. I'll just share my screen here. Yeah, so there I am. And yeah, I'm Oscar ONeill, as I mentioned, graduated Western University in 2017. I used to run Your Tech London, a managed IT services company, and I decided to pivot into RPA. And I'll explain a bit more about that. We are a UiPath certified partner, so we basically know all about UiPath, how to use it, and how to automate your business processes. And we have clients in all sorts of industries, from healthcare, accounting, intellectual property, manufacturing, construction, all sorts of industries, really. So there's our team back in 2017, Your Tech London. And really, we pivoted into RPA because just there's so many different IT service companies, but they really don't offer that much value. I mean, they do, but a lot of companies already have IT providers. But when I started learning about RPA like 5-7 years ago, I just was like so amazed by the power of automation, of making your business go automatically to basically have things happen all by itself. So we're focused on RPA now and automation, and it's a lot more valuable and scalable than just running an IT department. And really, it's an entirely new way of working. And just a bit of background on automation. We've been trying to automate things for hundreds of years, like humans. Here we can see the hand loom on the left. It's a lot of work to make textiles and, process cotton and make clothes. But then, we've moved into things like the power loom, or even nowadays we have like fully automated assembly lines for turning cotton into clothes that we wear. So we've really been automating for hundreds of years. And people can only do so much. You see Charlie Chaplin here working away real hard, but he's going to get tired eventually. He might not be paying attention. He's obviously having some issues and getting along with his coworkers there. And, people are awesome. They have like a lot of really good benefits. You see, getting distracted by flies, right? So people have a whole lot of benefits, but they also have some drawbacks where, automation can fill in the gaps. And when I'm talking about automation, I don't mean to refer to automation in the factory, because you might think of automation in terms of making cars or, other kinds of physical robots. No, instead I'm talking about automation in the office. And so that's where we're talking about right now, the kind of automation where we digitize business processes, digital tasks, and basically benefit from making things go automatically. So here's Winston the robot. That's the name of our automation program, essentially. It doesn't have a face, unlike these people here, but kind of off topic, but these actually aren't even real people. These are faces dreamed up by, an AI. So computers have really come very far in the past number of years. Even ChatGPT now is really like changing the way that we work. Obviously, because he's a robot, he doesn't sleep, he doesn't take breaks, he doesn't make mistakes as long as we programmed him properly, and he isn't going to quit or get bored or anything like that. He does his job perfectly, day in, day out, 24/7, forever. There's a number of benefits to automation. I'll just leave this on your screen for a bit, but a lot of customers, they're looking for eliminating repeat work. They want to get more insights and analytics into the work that they are doing. They want to make sure that they're compliant with their regulations and legislation in their industry. They want to scale up and do more work, and automation makes it possible to just, add in another Winston, you can have 2 Winstons, you could have 1,000 Winstons. It's almost just like we copy and paste him, and then he can handle a whole lot more work for your company. Yeah, so here's a couple of our clients and projects, a whole bunch of them. Couple cool projects of being like appointment scheduling and automating that. You know, processing invoices, making it a lot easier and more simple for businesses to go from, you know, doing work for the customer to fully automated and sending the invoices out and following up on those and then reconciling the payments in the end and getting data from a whole bunch of places. And I'll just go into a couple examples here. So this is World Health Organization dashboard that I built at the start of the COVID pandemic. So essentially what it did was we went to the World Health Organization's website, and every day they release situation reports on the pandemic. So we automated the collection of those PDFs. They kind of look like this table here. And all of this was in a PDF format. And then Winston was able to read each country, read the number of cases and deaths and things like that. And then we managed to scrape all that information, put it into a database, and then make a visual dashboard, as you can see here on the left, to show, you know, cases over time by country. You can click and move around and like see different information there. That's just one little example. For a customer of ours, we did fully automate appointment scheduling for this customer, which is really cool because essentially it made it easier for her patients to book appointments because they could go to her website, they could book through Calendly, and then our automation would take those appointment bookings, and then through Winston, she would put them into her electronic medical record software. So before, those softwares were not connected, but now because of Winston, he's able to, no matter what softwares on either side or how many softwares you have in total, he's just able to bring information through all automatically. So it made it easier for her patients to book appointments. We have like a number of different automations. Here's an example of one that I use every day. Essentially, it just it makes it easy for me to keep track of my time because it automatically starts and closes these time entries. And then we can see how it's basically putting it into a Word file, and then it's adding it to a time entry, and then it's saving the information, and then it's putting it all into our time entry software, invoicing software, clicking all the buttons automatically. And really, all of this is so great because what it does essentially is it just makes it even easier for us to keep track of our time in our business, because Winston the robot is automatically, he's just making it easier for us to keep track of time. Before, we actually had a hard time keeping track of everything because there was a lot of work required for entering time and doing all that. But now all of that's automated. It's just as easy as starting a time entry, stopping it, and then the rest of that billing is fully automated. Here's an example of Winston. He was going to this website for First Nation communities, and then every single time he loads the page, he's then, hey, Steven, just recording this now. Yeah, and basically he's like scraping all of this information, taking it and then putting it into a spreadsheet. And he's doing work that's like so much faster than a person could do. And you can see at the end here, he's made this big spreadsheet. And here's another one again, where he's copying information from a website and getting the population of each First Nation community. And then every time he refreshes the page, he just properly scrapes that. And you can see, and I'll show you the spreadsheet at the end. So that's like over 634 different First Nation communities that he's copying the information from into a nicely formatted spreadsheet. I have another example here where basically he would like go to this website and you fill out a form, and then he's going to go and then get the latest weather information for you. And he screenshots and takes this picture. And then what he does is he goes into Imager here and he uploads and he combines all the images together, makes a GIF, and then puts it all together and then sends it off to you. And then you got a little weather report there. And so we also built an automation where we essentially collected COVID-19 stats from all of Ontario's public health units automatically. And the problem was that the health information at the start of the pandemic was really slow because Ontario was using this old kind of system, and it was very time consuming to add data. But what we did was we built a program that essentially automatically went to each of the public health unit websites because they updated that multiple times a day. It was really easy. And then he was scraping the numbers from each of their websites and then putting it into a spreadsheet. And then again, taking those numbers and putting them into a visual dashboard, which you can kind of see here. And actually, at times, our automation was like even more up to date than the official Ontario counts, which I think is pretty interesting, pretty cool. Yeah, so really, automation and what we can do and what we can do with UiPath is bring all of the different kinds of software that you have together and bring it and connect it all just like, you know, how you want it to happen. So I think that's really powerful. You don't have to be limited into what your software only can bring you. Rather, it can really do whatever business process you have. Here's like a ton of examples of companies right now. They're not our customers specifically, but they use UiPath, which is the same software that we use to make our automations, among other software. So it's pretty big there. Now, in terms of what are the best processes to automate, and Stephen, hey there, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to just pipe up or share a question in chat or anything like that. But yeah, essentially the best process to automate are the repetitive and they're high volume. So they happen a lot. Maybe it's every day, you know, a couple times an hour, at least like, you know, frequently, because if it's only once every 3 months and it takes 5 minutes, it might not be worth automating. Unless it's such a big, long task that takes 10, 20, 30, 100 hours every 3 months, that might be worth automating. So it really depends. The kind of tasks that you can automate best, they're rules-based, they're structured. So if they follow like a kind of, you know, first this step and then either step 3 or step 4 based on that, then that's something that you can automate. But if you need to be really creative and think about what you're doing, you know, like automation isn't really that creative. Really, it's better for just going stepwise. Of course, the processes should be digital, right? We're talking about like software robots, not physical car building robots. So if you have it on the computer, it's on the screen. If you can do it on a computer, then you can probably automate it. And then, yeah, if you have processes that are very error prone, then I would really suggest thinking about automating it, because as long as it's programmed correctly, the computer isn't going to make errors. It can even detect if it's made, you know, problems and then fix itself, or at least say, hey, I'm not going to continue. I did a bad job. You know, please come help me, right? So error-prone processes are awesome for automation because we can reduce the number of errors and improve the quality of work. Yeah, you might be wondering, how do I get started with automation in my company? Well, there's like maybe 4 main things that you can think about when you're doing this. Really identify your goals. Like, what do you want to achieve? What kind of work do you want to automate? Do you want to reduce errors? Do you want to, like, you know, free up your people's time? Like, what are your goals for your business? And then make a roadmap. And basically, I'd say here is get a bunch of your team together and then brainstorm different tasks, different activities, things that you want to automate, things that, you know, they're boring or they take a lot of time and work and they're really repetitive, but they're not your main job. Rather, they're just something you have to do your job. Then those are some things to consider. And then identify, once you've made a list of all of those different activities, identify which ones you might want to start with, because some of them might be really easy to automate. You also have to do it a lot, maybe 10 hours a week, right? And then figure out which of those tasks you want to work on first, and then just really, and also really you want to get more buy-in from all sorts of levels, whether that's executive or even like, you know, all sorts of employees, because this isn't just, it's just that I've seen automation initiatives fizzle out because there were people that were like lower in the organization and the hierarchy that really wanted to see the automation move forward, but they could never get their boss's firm approval to say, yes, we want this for the company to succeed. So if you get both like higher end buy-in as well as just employees, then you can really move it forward. And then finally, just start small, right? Just start with one process, try to automate it, or hire us to automate it and get it going, and then see how that works. Is it living up to your expectations? Is it doing the work as fast as you thought with reduced errors? And is it easy to manage? Is it giving you everything? If it is the case, well, why not do another one, right? You don't have to start with automating 1,000 processes to really achieve the benefits of automation. So just take a drink. Yeah, so some of the short-term benefits of automation would be really just increase efficiency, cost savings, improve quality of work, and faster response times. And all of these things just come from getting the computer to do tasks that you don't want to do, or you can't do, or sometimes even you might have like a lot of turnover in certain job roles in your company. The problem with that is it can be hard to find new people, good people, and then they just leave after a month or two, and then you have to find a new person, train them all over again. Like, one of the short-term benefits really would be the quality of work, because you know that you can just rely on the computer to get it done. You don't have to worry about the computer quitting at any time. Some of the long-term benefits of automation for your company would be just scalability. Like I mentioned about turnover there with your employees, you can actually scale up with the automation. If you have more work, you can really just copy and paste and get more robots doing the work for you. It's much easier than going to find new employees, hire them, train them, all of that. You'll be more competitive because basically your business, parts of it will just be fully automated and happen by itself. And you'll be more innovative because once you set up an automation, it doesn't mean you're stuck there. You can always make changes to it. You can, change parts, and you can really reduce the work that your people are working on so they can focus on more creative aspects of their job. You can build out new programs and services that you previously couldn't do. And finally, business continuity is kind of like the turnover piece, but you know that with the computer doing the work, the computer isn't going to get sick or take a day off, unlike, humans sometimes. So you can reduce the risk of downtime, make sure your operation's running 24/7, and just run more consistently in the long term. Yeah, that's pretty much the end of the presentation. So, Stephen, if you have any questions there, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, good. How are you doing?
Good, very
Thanks
good.
for
That
making it.
was very interesting. I mean, I came late. I apologize for that. Is this going to be recorded at all, or?
Yeah, I did record it, so I can share the recording with
Oh,
you.
great. Thank you. I know, like, I do some automation. I'm a software engineer,
Okay.
and I do a lot of automation with AWS tools. And one thing I look for, whether or not to automate something or not, is whether or not I have to do the same thing multiple times. That's like a big thing. Like, if I do have to do something more than twice manually, then it might be worth automating that process. Or if it's something that's going to allow me to, move something from one environment to another without having, like you said, the error-prone errors, I can write a script to actually do the deployment. Like, if I need to move something from dev to QA, I can write a script that will trigger that to do like a pipeline, with CDK. I can trigger that process to actually deploy to different environments. I know with Python, there's a lot of opportunity to automate things as well in the language there also. But I think that was like the gist I got from your talk about automation. That's really what I probably took away the most out of your talk.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you have to do it multiple times, if you have to do it more than once, really, it's definitely worth considering automating it. So there is that like, I don't know if you've seen that comic from XKCD, and then it's like a funny graph, and it shows like, you know, all of the time investment into automating that task, but really it only took you like 5 minutes every 3 months, but then it took like, you know, 20 hours to automate it. So like, are you really saving that much time? But it really depends on the case there. And one thing that, you know, we do that's like maybe a bit different from just a Python script or like, you know, those kind of like scripts in general is that like with our kind of automation, we do specifically robotic process automation. So we use UiPath for that. And that's kind of like a screen scraping kind of operating software. So scripts really, you know, they would depend on APIs to work. You know, if you can get data from here, there in a script, that's great. But sometimes, you know, your software doesn't have an API. Maybe it's in some old business software that just runs on your computer there. But the only way to get it out is to open the program, you know, navigate to the reports, export the data. You know, you'd have to process. There's no way to really do that otherwise. So that's something that we find really beneficial for our customers is automating just computer programs that don't have APIs, don't have those export functionalities. So have you ever encountered that kind of problem?
I've never used the RPT. No. Like
Mm-hmm.
I usually I'm a developer, so usually I'll build the export functionality in the screen. So they just click on a button, they'll export the data,
Mm-hmm.
when they see to CSV.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done screen scraping before with Node.js, taking that and it does a screenshot.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a headless way of getting what's on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
But I like that. I've never heard of that before actually. But
Okay, yeah, cool. If you don't mind, I'm just going to end the recording now. We can keep talking. I'm going to stop the recording just for
sure.
that. But thanks for showing up. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to stop the recording, but thank you.